Hello, everybody. For our writing today, we are going to continue writing like master writers, and we're going to continue with our narrative writing, which is a true story about something that happened in your life. And what we're going to work on today is really getting details into your story. And we're going to work on really zooming in to our on our details and different things that are happening in our story. So our objective or our target is I can take a tiny detail and stretch it out into a whole story. And something that we're going to be doing today, and I'm going to be showing you on my iPad with a picture, is we're really going to be zooming in on a small moment and getting details for, finding details for those small moments. But the first thing that I want to do is I want to show you one of our master writers, Jane Yolen, who we're reading her book, Owl Moon. She does a really great job zooming in on a small moment on this page. So I'm going to read it to you, and then I'm going to point out some of the details that I really, really like. We reached the line of pine trees, black and pointy against the sky, and Pa held up his hand. I stopped right where I was and waited. He looked up, as if searching the stars, as if reading a map up there. The moon made his face into a silver mask. Then he called, "Hoo, hoo, 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 hoo." The sound of a great horned owl. Hoo, 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 hoo. And so what I like from this is the way that this was just a quick moment. They're at the line of trees, and her dad is calling for an owl, and that would probably be 5 seconds in her life. And what she's done is she has pulled out details. And some of the details that I really love is when she talks about the pine trees, and she says that they were black and pointy against the sky. She could have just said, "We reached the line of pine trees." But she added a detail so I could really, really see it. And instead of just telling me about being at the line of pine trees, she showed me what the line of pine trees looked like. And another thing that I really like is when she talks about her father looking up to the sky. And instead of just saying, "He looked up," she says, "He looked up," as if searching the stars, as if reading a map up there. So she's telling me what her father looked like when he was looking up at the stars. He's not just looking up at the stars, he's looking for something. And then finally, the moon made his face into a silver mask. Instead of just saying, "Oh, the light from the moon was shining on his face," she helped me see it in my brain by using small details, by telling me that it made his face into a silver mask. And that's what we're going to work on today. I took this picture of Pine Point Beach in Maine in early September. And one of the things that I thought was the most beautiful was the sky and how the sand was wet and it was reflecting the sky. And what we're going to do right now is we are going to use our tools of zooming in and finding details, but we're actually going to be able to zoom in because this is a picture. But one of the things that I really want you to notice is that this is a picture. This is just 1 second in my life. But what we're going to do is we are going to zoom in and pull small details out of it. And if we were writing, we could make this an entire page of writing, just about 1 second of my life. So first I want to just look at this, and I want to kind of pick out some things that I notice. So one thing that I notice is that there is a person walking on the sand. And I also notice that the sky is beautiful. There are waves. The sand right near the camera is really dark. So those are some things that I'm really going to zoom in on and pay attention. And so the first thing I want to do is look at the sand because it's nice and close. So I'm going to zoom in. And not only do I notice that the sand is close, but I notice that there are little paw prints on there. So when I'm zooming in, I notice that there are paw prints on the sand. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down my observations, which is what you're going to be doing as well. So there are paw prints leading to the water. All right, so that's what I noticed about the sand. And when I think back about this moment and I think about the sand was cold. The sand was cold on my feet. The next thing I'm going to look at is the sky. And the sky to me looks like a rainbow. We've got some purple down on the bottom, and then it kind of looks pink, and then a little orange, then a little yellow, and then a little blue. So that's another detail I'm going to write down. The sky looked like a rainbow. And I could talk about how beautiful it is and how it's reflecting onto the wet sand. The colors reflected onto the wet sand. And so the next thing I want to talk about is the waves. And they're kind of small, but they're still crashing onto the shore. That's what we talk about. That's what we call it when waves kind of come onto the shore. We call it crashing onto the shore. So I'm going to say there were some small waves crashing onto the shore. And then finally, what I want to zoom in on is this person. And I notice that this person is by themselves. I notice that they are barefoot and that they are just walking on the beach. So I'm going to say a person was walking, and you know what? They're pretty close to the water. A person was walking close to the water. They were barefoot, which means they had no shoes on. And had a sweatshirt on. So for this small moment in my life, we have written almost an entire page of details. And writers, that's what I want you doing today. On Seesaw, you are going to find an image. And what I want you to do is I want you to look at that image and I want you to pull small details and write some sentences about it. And I want you to really be thinking about how a photograph is just 1 second. A photograph is just a quick snapshot. And I really want you focusing on taking that quick snapshot that you could describe in 1 sentence. With my beach picture, I could say, I went to the beach. And that could be my 1 sentence. But as writers and as second graders, we're going to work on really getting those details out. So instead of, I went to the beach, what I've written is, there are paw prints leading to the water. The sand was cold on my feet. The sky looked like a rainbow. The colors reflected onto the wet sand. There were some small waves crashing onto the shore. A person was walking close to the water. They were barefoot and had a sweatshirt on. So instead of just, I went to the beach, we highlighted all of those details, which is what you're going to be working on today. And I'm really excited to read what you guys have written. See you later.